Dork back again, and today, my friends, I'm coming at you live from my Dork studios here in beautiful and sunny Gainesville, Georgia, where it is always perfectly sunny. Okay, well, maybe not always, but today it is beautiful and sunny, not a cloud in the sky, and I'm ready to film Dorkcast episode number 31. We're talking about process mining today, which well, come to think of it, I'm not exactly sure why process mining has anything to do with Qlik, but I am positive that my guest today, Jan Birkholz, who is a process mining pioneer, will be able to help us. I know that y'all are multitasking while you're watching the video. You got me in a corner somewhere. Feel free to go out to Jan's profile and just go ahead and get connected right now. Jan is with a company called Mirrorwork, and the tool that we're going to be talking about today is called MPMX, and you can see the link right there. Feel free to go check that out while we're doing this. And Jan, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I got to ask you, my friend, what in the world is MPMX, and what does process mining have to do with Qlik?
Okay, so there were quite some questions in it. So I start from the beginning. What is MPMX? So MPMX is basically the brand name of our product, which is a process mining, basically a process mining solution that is founded on the Qlik Sense engine. Yeah, so everything that we will look at today, talk about today, is founded or is the foundation of it is basically the Qlik Sense engine. Everything we do is all Qlik scripting. So all the data transformation that we do in the backend is all Qlik Sense based. Yeah, so that's why it's very, very interesting, I guess, for the Qlik folks to not have always the topic of BI or data analytics in mind when it comes to Qlik, but also a new field. Yeah, that this engine is so versatile that it can also play on a new field, which is in this case process mining. Yeah, and for those who don't know what process mining is, it is basically a different way of analyzing data in a process-oriented way. But of course, we will look into it.
And when you say analyzing, I am used to visualizing a process within Qlik where I've got, if this, then this, then this.
Yeah,
Very simple type flows of, hey, here's what's happening. But you actually do mining, is that right? Like you're actually finding what the real processes are like.
absolutely. So the classical process understanding from a data analytics perspective is more or less understanding what the process is looking like, and then you build KPIs up on it. Yeah, that you measure how the process works. And maybe you build something like a Sankey chart that you can see, did the process come from this, go to this, and go to there? Yeah, like with the if that you were talking about. But exactly as you said, the mining itself is not about that we think how the process might look like, yeah, that we need to pre-think where it
Right.
could go. Yeah, the mining is all about we don't know. Yeah, the mining is all about we are giving something like a framework, and then we
Yep.
are looking on the process like it's actually happening and giving freedom to all the process variations that could appear in the real world. Yeah, so that is the big difference.
Now that sounds like a lot of hype. However, right, thinking like a user watching this, they're thinking that's hype. There's no way you're doing that. What I was really struck by when I went to your website, mpmx.com, you post right on your webpage the Gartner Process Mining Magic Quadrant, and you all are in the leaders quadrant with this tool,
That's correct. Yeah,
right?
so
So that told me right away, I was like, I'm not sure there's got to be a gimmick to this. You guys are legit. You're legitimately a process mining tool.
yeah,
You utilize Qlik to do the process mining, and I'm sure hoping I get to see some really cool visualization of the processes as well as we go through this. So,
absolutely.
buddy, if you want to share your screen, man, I would love people to start seeing. I'd love to see what you're doing. I'd love the audience to see what you're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what? So let's start maybe with one look at the process, and then
Okay.
maybe take a step back and to
That sounds
be able
good.
to understand how we're coming there and how we could engage to come to that point. And one sentence about this Gartner, the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So the topic of process mining itself might be someone in the audience have heard about it, might that be that they heard and some other folks inside of their company are doing process mining, and why is now process mining relevant for the Qlik folks as well? So that is the questions I really want to tackle and really want to get the people buzzing about. And the field of process mining itself is quite new. So process mining in a commercial way of thinking is maybe 8 years old, yeah, at tops. Yeah, and the Gartner Magic Quadrant is now 2 years old. So it's an emerging topic. Nevertheless, it
Yep.
comes with a hammer. Yeah, so it is quite large already in Europe. Yeah, so I don't know how the geolocation of the most of your audience is, but in Europe, especially in Germany, because the origin of the commercial process mining world, so to say, is in Germany, and it's now heavily evolving into Americas and also Asia, is quite new. Yeah, and the thing is, if you now think about what I've said, like in terms of processes, and we can look at processes different. So if you imagine why we have built it on Qlik is basically we looked at the process mining as a technology, and we looked as we as a company were data analytics implementer and the Qlik reseller. And we said, yeah, like, what is process mining actually? You need to
Yep.
identify the right data. Yeah, you need to get into the data
Yep.
sources, yeah, into the ERPs, CRMs of the world, need to identify the right data and extract it. So Qlik is one of the most versatile tools in terms of extracting data. And then you must crunch the data. Yeah, you must really go into it and bring it in a format that we can read, because process mining is all about formatting the data to a specific format, which is called event log. Yeah, we
Okay.
will come to that.
Yep.
Yeah, and when you have this standardized format of an event log, you can then visualize it. And all the
Right.
three main steps is the same with the data analytics world. Yeah,
Yep. I
so
like that. That's very intriguing, and I think that should give people a reason to stay. Like, okay, yeah, that does sound legit. Um, and I like the idea that's there's people who would definitely start with, hey, let's see it in action first, and then let's walk back to how it was done, because then they'll stick around with us.
so
Um,
what you see here is, I hope you see my screen, my browser.
I've done a lot with process management in the past, and all those types of symbols that you have on those screens all look familiar to me.
Okay. That's good, because that is where process mining is coming from. Yeah, process mining is that is maybe also the answer for the folks that are now head scratching and thinking now, like, as I said, like, there's process mining in my company, I do Qlik, and if this guy now in the video says it's all the same, why is it not? Like, why does my company not look it as the same? The
Hmm.
reason is because process analytics has a very different origin than data analytics. Data analytics is always relying on current data of your source systems. But
Yep.
process analytics, as you know from the past, is basically drawing pictures. It's you're questioning inside of the company. You're going in, speak with colleagues, and ask them, how do you conduct your daily business? How is it going? And then you draw a picture, and then you say, this is the truth. You go around and preach. You preach with a map that you've
Well, you
just
say
drawn.
this is the goal, right?
Yeah,
This is how it should be done.
exactly.
Clearly, everyone's going to just follow this. Now, I did my process management stuff like 35 years ago. And as you said, process mining is relatively new because people like me said, I've given you a simple flow chart, just go do it. And the real world says, I'm in the real world. I can't just do that on this one off. this other 1,500 one-offs.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And exactly as you said, those one-offs, you cannot bring them into sense. What you also cannot bring into sense is with those drawn map. Are you picturing now the as-is picture or the should-be picture? So what is it that you're drawing? And
Yep.
you don't know actually how many of the processes went through the right, middle, or left lane. You're just drawing a picture how it could be.
Yep.
And all of this process mining brings objectivity to it, because the question that we have asked ourselves, so why is someone drawing a map if all those information is in your source system? The people are walking the process in the source system.
Right.
Everyone is executing several steps in order to get stuff done. Yeah, so you have a purchase order. How do you book, for example, a purchase order through your system? You create a purchase order item. Yeah, then you get an invoice from your supplier. Then you check, you get the goods received. Yeah, you get the invoice received, and maybe in the end, or hopefully in the end, you will pay. That is
that's always the goal, right? It's that last step. That last step is the one that sometimes gets missed.
Yeah. So, but that's a good thing for the cash flow of my company if you don't pay for goods that you have received. But let's think about it the other way. What happens if you pay twice?
Yep.
Who's checking it? Who's checking if you have maybe scrambled master data?
Okay.
And you pay the vendor maybe for one location and then the same invoice to another location?
Yep.
Who's checking that, for example? Duplicate payments? Very difficult. With process mining, let's look into it. We can
now hang on a second before you dig into this, because I'm already pretty excited. I'm assuming that image that's on the right side of there is just a PNG file that you hand drew, you scanned it into something, and then you're just zooming in and out of it. Is that what that image is? Just a visual that you've hard coded with pen and ink?
Fortunately, no. It is live recalculated based on the selection that you do. So for example, I want to see not the top process mining variants. At the moment, we are seeing the top 10 variants of in total 7,979 variants that are out there in the world.
No way.
World. Yeah. And we are only seeing the top 10. But, and that's the cool thing about process mining. Process mining is all about cluster, all about aggregation. Yeah. So we see the top 10 most common and most used variants. And those are covering nearly 70% of all your purchase orders.
Okay.
Yeah? So just 10 variants are covering 70% of all the cases. So you have always those most common, very high common cases that are going in a repetitive way.
Okay.
And then you have those deviations of it. Yeah, those outlaws. Okay. Yeah, and that is all about process mining. Identify the outlaws, see how often it happens, see how much pain it creates inside of your organization. So how much time did you need to invest in addition in order to get it fulfilled? And then you can do something about it. Yeah, that is what process mining is looking into.
So, okay, if that's not a hard-coded image, how is that thing getting drawn? Is this like a custom extension that you have for Qlik Sense?
In terms of it, in technicality, yes, it's an extension. We are bringing in total, I think, 8 extensions that are having different functionality.
Wow, okay.
This is our main extension, which is the so-called process analyzer. Yeah. Okay. So the process analyzer can now be used because it's completely integrated in your Qlik data model. Right. So on the left-hand side, you see a normal Qlik chart. So for example, how many purchase orders do I have with which supplier? And I say, I want to get only all the cases with my top suppliers. Yeah, okay. Or maybe just even one. And you see it right and left is completely connected. And if I say now, I want to have
crazy. That's crazy cool.
Where I have now a remove payment block in my I say with this activity. Yeah, and now I have all the Offermann GmbH and Co. KG suppliers that hold a remove payment block inside of their process. Yeah. And I have 779 cases with 60 process variants and a lead time. And now when we're talking about lead time, it's always the topic, yeah. BI and data analytics is measuring what you want to see. So you want to see, for example, a lead time. How long do you take to execute your purchase order? In this case, 76 days from creating till clearing in average.
Okay.
That's an information. And now kicks in the top management. The top management now tells you, there's normally two things that they can tell you: do more purchase orders with the same headcount, or decrease the time you need for one purchase order in average.
Okay.
That's the normal top management target for the next year. And then with the classical way of data analytics, you could see, for example, let's see if I have the initial filter right here. I have one filter where I can show it to you in one single case. Yeah, so I have now one single case that has a lead time of 376 hours. Yeah, and that is normally the granularity you get down with that what you have in a BI data model or in a BI application. Yep. You have the create purchase order till the clear invoice. And now the top management came already and told you get faster. And what process mining can bring to the table is basically the root cause of the issue. Yep. Because now you can say, where is the time lost? And you see directly where the most time in my entire process got lost. Because otherwise you need to investigate, yep. Oh, yeah, where do we lose the time? We now actually know between create purchase order item and the supplier creates the invoice. That's the issue. Yeah, the supplier didn't create the invoice in the first place. So the whole entire other process got basically taken behind or fell behind. And we are not doing just this with one single case instance, because you can do that in your ERP. You can follow up one single case. We can follow up all the cases in your system. Yeah, and we can follow up not just one process variant. We can follow up on the top 10 process variants. And we see right away through the thickness of the edges that the most issues occur here from the records invoice received and downwards, because here is the most thickest edges.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Top management would give us the target, we should shrink down our lead time. Yeah, we should get more efficient. Yeah, we are not tumbling on this immense effort or this immense task that we have before us. We can really dig in deep and we can really see, oh, automatically, oh, we have quite a lot of payment blocks. As soon as a payment block is involved, there's a lot of time wasted. Yeah, we see also from the records goods received till the records invoice received, there's also a lot of time going on. And then in the end, the clear invoice. Yeah, so if we have payment targets that we say normally we need to hit the payment target of, I don't know, 30 days together with to pay our invoices.
Right.
Maybe we are not even in the situation that we are able to fulfill it.
Right.
Yeah, but what's the question? The question is always, what is the bottleneck in my process that is hindering us?
Nice.
Process mining is telling us that where the hindering point lies. Yeah.
Nice. I think you've hit on an awful lot of things that I want to help people with. First, I think we're in total agreement. If I know the one invoice already that's a problem, I don't need any tool to find it. I'll just go look that one up, and right. If I get a call from my boss complaining about ABC 123, I go fix ABC 123. The beautiful thing that I talk to people about analytics is the ability for you to not only find a needle in a haystack if you knew it was there. You need to find which haystack has the needle. And the one thing that ties, instead of just looking at this data on spreadsheets, is that visualizations are supposed to speed you up in finding the haystack that has more needles than another haystack does.
Exactly.
So I wasn't sure when I first started seeing this why some lines were thicker than others. I think that's a beautiful use of visualization, right? So when you mentioned you were already using Qlik Analytics, you clearly, your company understood the importance of visualizations to speed things up. Knowing that those thickness of the lines are the haystacks with the most needles in them, I know where to go start looking now and can
Exactly.
narrow that down. And when we look at, hey, this is only 10, just 10 of the 7,979 different ways of getting to things, that helps really illustrate the picture of the beauty of that Qlik associative model,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because there's all these millions of different, 7,979 variations, and it could be anywhere with these things, and it would help you find those things. So this is, I love this visualization, and even more so now that I understand why some lines are thicker than others, and the point that that pays for people. Why I would tie process mining with visual analytics. This is great stuff.
And the thing is, if you tell people that in this case 135,000 approximately purchase order items that they have, that they align nearly 8,000 process variants, they say that's impossible. It cannot be
Correct.
that we
Yeah,
have
there's
different.
no way. Yeah, no
So
way you would believe that.
because one process variant, I haven't defined it yet, but one process variant is one distinct order of events
Hmm.
inside of one or many case IDs. Yeah, so the most common variant in our data set that we are having is 33,119 case IDs, so purchase order items, are following the same exact pathway.
It's the
That's the
one that I
variant.
drew up. I told you, I gave him a flow chart and said, this is easy. You do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. How hard
Yeah.
can it be? Just do it.
Exactly. And the thing is, unfortunately, yeah, people find loopholes in your ERP because others then say, oh no, our ERP is pretty secure. You can only click on that option, and only if you filled out that three fields, then you can even go to the next mask and can fill out the next one, the next form. And I say, that's very good. Nevertheless, people will find loopholes, and I'm pretty sure we will make it visible in no time. Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll find exactly those loopholes you didn't know about. Because if you know about, you are measuring them anyway. You are
Yep.
having the BI to do it. But process mining brings you that agility that BI could never give a non-technical end user, but more of a business-oriented end user. Because before we go back to the explanation, how all of that magic looking happens, we were talking about the duplicate payments or the clear invoice if that happens twice. I want to give you an example. So we can
Okay.
search in the entire data model about patterns that appear inside of a certain variant.
Okay.
I can say now, for example, I want to have all of those that have a clear invoice twice. And then I can say, if the clear invoice happens, yeah, I don't care if there's before, in between, or afterwards, other activities happening. It can happen whatever should be. But I want, as soon as in one case ID, one purchase order item, I have two payments, I want to get alerted. I want to know about this.
Hang on a second. You're kind of blowing my mind here. There's other people that probably just spilled their coffee or spit it across the table at their colleague. You're giving me the ability to set up a visual search here where I'm defining this. This goes way beyond the Qlik search capability.
Exactly.
You're letting me say, I want to find cases that have this scenario. And I'm assuming when you apply this thing, it's going to find those one-offs, those variants that had that.
Exactly. And this is
Ah, dude,
basically,
man, if
you
everybody's
now
not like leaning over their desk looking at the screen like press that button, I'd be shocked right now.
Not yet, but I will press it. So what you're doing here, you give now end users the capability to define flags across the entire data model, because that's basically what you're doing. You create flags,
Yep.
filters with a complexity impossible to give with classical filters.
Right.
Now think about it. Normal end users or business-oriented end users will not be able to create that kind of complex KPI to do it by themselves.
No, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. So at the moment, we have 135,000 cases.
Okay.
And I now apply my query and see how many hit. And I see 1,067 cases are having this kind of pattern. And the thing is, of course, I can build a KPI. Wow. I can build a KPI that could do the same, but I must know about this happening. But what I cannot do with a normal KPI is basically now understand maybe the root cause for duplicate payment. I can see you have a record invoice received, then it goes to clear invoice, and then a lot is happening. And for example, also cancel invoice receipt is happening. So the root cause behind of that is very often or very likely to be, yeah, you get an invoice, maybe you even post it, and then, when you hit the button, you feel it, oh, there's something wrong, you call your supplier, or even the other way, the supplier calls you, hey, there was a typo, please cancel the invoice, there was something wrong, let's do it all again. I send you a new invoice, I send it to you. The KPI can't tell that. KPI doesn't know. But we can now say, I went over all the cases without this activity. So where a cancel invoice receipt happens, I assume that those are not nice processes, but those are not fraudulent processes.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say, again, without those. So we shrink down a process model from 135,000 cases to just 329. 329. And of course, I have here now only case relevant information, but I have also dashboard where I see my spend volume that is attached to exactly that kind of processes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I have
my
BI data model. My BI
I found the haystack that had a bunch of needles that had some serious problems. I could then, as I'm investigating into that haystack, I'm looking more at the needles and I realize, hey, this volume is a lot of dollars and therefore I should care about fixing it, or it's 12 cents.
Exactly. No one cares.
It's 12 cents.
Exactly.
I'm not going to worry about fixing that one. Let me go find my next one.
And you find now what you just said is the exact perfect explanation why process mining and data analytics must be in one place, because that correlation between two only comes when you have that BI intelligence attached to your process intelligence. Yeah. And this intersection must be together.
Nice.
Both sides will heavily prosper if combined.
Absolutely. Now, if we can go back 1 second, we went through and built that query. How can is the user able to save that query once they figured out what that flow would be?
Yeah, so of course, you can just create a bookmark.
So once they set up with your really complicated query, remember how you went through and said, here, I want to have this invoice. I want to see where invoice is done twice.
Yeah. So I create my bookmark and my bookmark is saving all my filters, as you know it from Qlik. The bookmark itself has the information about the filter.
Oh, because it's saving the paths.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And of course I can now then do it. And as normal in bookmarks, you can also give a description.
That makes total sense. Your search finds the paths, and we've got the path ID, GUID, or whatever it is that they stored. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of lines in there.
Yeah. So this one, basically the number of events, I haven't touched that one, is basically the number of lines of the event log. Yeah. So you have maybe now after talking now already 15 minutes, I come to the foundation. So we have cases. So cases in this idea here is a purchase order, but really get loose from the idea that you only need to look on purchase orders. Everything that has a process instance, production plans, ticket IDs, sales orders,
Yep.
whatever is out there, finance processes, everything, hiring. We are doing very much hiring processes. So large companies want to know if the applicants need to wait long till they get an answer, because at the moment it is like people are the gold of the modern age. So if you don't answer the people that are applying to you, they just go to another one. They can pick.
That's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that because I see so many things on LinkedIn um, about people complaining about that hiring process. I had 55 touch points with them
Yeah,
and then
perfect.
had to wait and call them, like I got tired of all these touch points.
Yeah.
Um, so the number of events, those are things that happened. Is that what that
Yeah, that
represents?
is exactly that is what happened.
Okay.
And in combination with the variance, we have the most important information about what is going on.
So what I'm seeing about events here, and you could tell me, I work a lot with trouble ticket systems. So
Perfect.
prior to joining Qlik, I worked at a large health system. I was the administrator for our, ServiceNow equivalent type thing of,
Yes.
hey,
Okay.
here's a ticket, do this, 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 this. We tracked time, we tracked how long it took, did it get closed on the first call resolution, blah, 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 right? The number of events KPI there, that's basically, it would be, hey, how many touch points happened, right? Um,
Exactly. So
and so
one
the
second,
hard thing in those systems is you only have their measurements. You're clearly looking at every one of those touch points, everything that happens in that event log, and could say, you had 10 cases and they all had 1,500 touch points, right? That's why they're taking this time to be resolved.
exactly. So I use now PowerPoint because it already has the explanation about
This is
that. You see
perfect. Yep. Okay, good.
you're seeing my PowerPoint?
Yeah. Yep.
So exactly what you were describing is basically visualized here. So you had your ticket ID, in this case, the purchase order item, which is the case ID. So it's a
Wow.
distinct identifier throughout one case. That's the
Yep.
normal ticket ID, but it is following you along everything. So at the Qlik Connect recently in Orlando, I had the opportunity to have a breakout session with one of our customers, Telenet. They are one of the largest telecommunication providers in Belgium,
Okay.
yeah, with around 4 million end users, end customers. Yeah, so quite a large number. And what is the most important thing for telecommunication, energy, and so on? So all insurance companies, banks, so all of those share the same issue. They share the issue that the goods and services they are providing are highly replaceable,
Mm-hmm.
because no one can distinguish if an insurance from company A is better than an insurance from company B. And the energy or the electricity out of your plug, yeah, out of your how you say it in English? I'm sorry.
Plug. Yep.
Okay,
Outlet.
outlet, yeah, it is better from company A to company B. Now, come. So
Yeah.
what is it that they need to get better? They need to improve the internal processes,
Yep.
either to get more cheap, to get cheaper, yeah, to need less resources on the process itself, or to be service leader in order to have the best service offered for the customer. And that is basically what we call then customer journey analytics. So they were referring to Telenet is using it very intensively in their customer journey analytics. And they are a heavy Qlik user. So they have, I think, around 35, 40 Qlik Sense developers,
Okay.
full-time Qlik Sense
Wow.
developers. Yeah. And they have now introduced process mining to their entire landscape of data analytics. Yeah.
This
So
is,
they
I
enrich.
tell you what, I'm really, as I see this and I see all these disparate data sources, clearly marketing wise, woo, disparate data sources, you know, that's what Qlik is known for. But as I look, you're bringing all these different event logs together.
Exactly.
And
That is
here's what I'm thinking. This all makes sense. And in my example of trouble tickets, man, I would love to tie together the trouble ticket system and the system where I check in and check out code. Because I
exactly.
would like to see how many times did a ticket get created, but the developer had to check in and check out code more than one time.
Thank you. You have now explained the use case of Telenet. Yeah,
Golly,
because
that
they
I
have
mean, that would be incredible.
they have their CRM system, yeah, and then they have their ticket system where a service installation person comes to the house and installs the router and everything,
Yep,
yeah, and then they have the front desk that is using another ticket system where they have the help hotline, and they have combined all of those um, silo installations and also their current data analytics analysis were also not attached to each other. Yeah, because normally you are thinking not end to end. Process mining is giving you the capability and possibility to really think end to end.
yep,
And that is the idea behind it. Yeah, to get those intersections that normally create the most friction in total, but are never being touched. Yeah,
exactly.
because it's so hard to touch them. Yeah,
Yep,
but with this case ID, we can link them very easily. And then we have this activity type. So what is happening? Yeah, so a service person gets to the house, or an appointment is being made, or I don't know, the line is being cleared, whatsoever. Yeah, so what activity is happening and what the system, all the systems are doing automatically is creating a timestamp. So when
yep,
do you do it in the system? A timestamp is created. And we are just reading out information that is already there. So that is part of the gold that no one used. We are now using it. We are facilitating it.
yep.
Yeah. And that is what process mining does. So maybe I
Well, I
would
can
like to.
certainly understand why you chose to bring it all into Qlik, because Qlik can keep it there, and that associative model and that ability to be able to set a filter and have it cascade across everything is huge.
Yeah, so a big part of the talking in Orlando was around the ever present topic AI. Yeah, and the thing was, or the idea is that put machine learning capabilities on top of your already existing BI. Yeah, and in order to do so, find the root causes for certain issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with Qlik Answers, you are now even capable of attach unstructured data into your data model. Yeah, and mix it up basically and
Yep.
have interactions. But now think about it. We have, as soon as we have issues inside of our company, we give now the data model, the machine learning algorithms, the perfect foundation to find patterns. There
Yes.
is no better way, no better structure known as of today. If you want to do process-oriented analysis, then use a process mining event log. And
Yep.
if you're now letting machine learning algorithms run this, yeah, you can really boost the knowledge about the root causes of your internal issues and errors. Yeah,
Yep.
so this very simplified um, um, slide should show you data analytics is basically telling you what happened. So something goes down the drainage, your KPIs go down. They tell you that it goes down. They also tell you maybe company in India went down or company in Europe or Germany went down. Yeah, the
Yep.
numbers are going down the trench. But they don't tell you why the heck is this happening.
Correct.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
process mining. So if the root cause for this problem lies internally, we can now identify it right away. If it lies externally and we don't have a hold of it, we cannot cope with it, then we
Right.
can maybe even implement unstructured data of maybe reports about the entire market, so market reports, market researches, and so on, and maybe splice it in. So with this newly presented Qlik functionality, it basically played in perfectly in our idea of how to understand data in general. Yeah,
Right.
so make use of everything you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything that is maybe unstructured and maybe outside of your area of influence,
Right.
bring it in as well. Yeah, and and process mining gives you the why. Process mining tells you why you are not performing like you're supposed to be. What
No,
happened?
no doubt. Yeah. And I think, and what I love about this is the idea most are, hey, we're not cost effective. Let's cut ahead. Let's kick somebody out and I'll just make the other people do 20% more work and then I'll save money. Right. This could help you find, hey, this is what's wrong
Yes.
and why you're not cost effective, right? It's because you got the same people doing the same thing 15 times.
Yeah.
Right.
And you are now seeing really um, where you maybe have also your resources maybe not correctly distributed along the
Right.
process.
Yep. Yeah.
So you see right away where bottlenecks appear. So you see some people are very busy, some other people maybe are not so busy. So maybe you can rearrange a little. Yeah.
And you could see, yeah, because I could imagine I would see thicker lines in one area, and the same thing could be resolved in 2 minutes in a different area.
Exactly.
But
Also.
this area has no control over it. They're at the mercy of somebody else. They're stuck waiting, and those times are longer. So yeah, I mean that's huge power. I mean, just huge for
But
organizations.
we just scratched the surface. Let me give you another one that maybe
Are
is
you
very.
trying to just make my head pop off, or you want to see if my bow
I
tie will spin? I
I will
always tease about my bow tie spinning.
I
It
will
always catches my chin, but you're trying to make it spin, aren't you? I see how you are, John.
I will try to make the proportion back right. Yeah, make your head grow as large as your tie is in
Nice.
proportion.
Okay. Good deal.
But think about maybe a topic that everyone's also talking about is automation. Yeah, Qlik was onboarding application automation a few years back, and yet I personally haven't seen too much of those very heavy business effects happening. Yeah, application automation is often being used to optimize the Qlik SaaS infrastructure and doing of it.
Yep.
That is one of the use cases. But what is sexy is having
You're
adding.
about to tell me I'm gonna take a guess. You're about to tell me that the smart guy out there in a business would find the thickest lines or the ones that are reproduced the most and focus on automating those lines and not worry about a different line that's useless.
Exactly, man.
Dang, man.
That's that's beautiful use cases, and you can calculate a business case because you know how often it happens, how many people are on it, how long it takes. That's all you need to calculate the business case of
Now,
an
are you
automation.
going to tell me next that I could take a look and see these cases before my automation, do my automation, show me the results in processes, and show me the ROI that I actually had by doing the automation?
Yes, so we can build this
No,
without any
I mean,
issue.
Like,
I
and I'm
will,
not asking for a visual right now, but we could certainly
I will
do
show
that,
you
right?
something
Because we
like
could
this.
say, I only want to, let's pick these cases prior to January 1.
Exactly.
Show me what was done. Show me what my time length was, blah, blah, blah. Now, show me the same scenarios after this date.
Exactly. And what Qlik functionality would that be?
Alternate states.
Exactly. That's all we need.
Me and you should go on the road, man.
That's all
Wow.
we need. That's all we need.
Okay.
Because all the info, you said it, all the info is there. We just
Oh,
need
you've done this.
yeah, it's here. I show you. You see
Nice.
my browser? You see my browser window?
I do see it, and I see automated time and manual time.
Yeah, that exactly. I will come to that in a sec. So
Dude, you're like drawing me in.
um, so what I'm showing you here is a so-called template application. And the coolest thing about this template application, like I said, is that is the topic of process mining itself, because the event log that we have just looked on the slide is always looking exactly the same. No
Yep.
matter if it's a process that has a physical movement or a process that is a virtual movement, you have a case ID, an activity, and a timestamp. And that's why we can pre-think really much of it.
Yep.
Yeah, we can bring to you a so-called template application that holds the classical questions that you have in process mining use cases. So we have classical questions around the automation and automation rate. We have about rework. So what is rework? Is basically inside of one case instance, you are executing one activity more than once.
Yep.
That is rework. Or you have so-called change activities. So you change something is unwanted normally.
Sure. Yep.
It is defined as rework. Yeah. Then you have the classical way of you want to standardize your processes. How do you do it? We have here a sheet that tells you where along your process the biggest deviation starts occurring. So where does it diversify your process? Then we have talked that you in your past has drawn maps, process maps. The conformance checker is bringing in, loading in the map in a BPMX format and measuring the conformance to your actual as is with every single variant in the whole data model.
I love it.
So we have basically a health checker. So if you think about your ticket system, you splice in how the tickets should run.
Yep.
You see how they run actually, and then you see directly if a certain ticket type is always running bad. If I don't know, a certain location is maybe not enabled enough and needs to retrain because they are executing the workflow differently. Yeah. Or if an organization that is still using an old ticket version, an old ticket system, is having major issues around it.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So think about system migrations, system alignments. Yeah. Like this is the idea of the single point of truth. This is the idea of the digital twin of your organization.
Yes.
The foundation of this digital twin that is swirling around and actually no one knows what it actually is. Yeah. So far, this is the most, this is the closest you can get with modern technology to a digital twin. Yeah. So let's look at this automation here. Then we can also look if you want to look into others. And when we were talking about alternate states, that's benchmarking. You take any dimension that you have in your data model, you compare it. Yeah. Time, location, product, whatever. Yeah. Let's look into automation. So for this one, we need one more information than just case ID, activity, and timestamp. We would need another column in this event log. Think back to the event log. We would need a column which is holding the information if an activity was executed manually or by a batch. Yeah? That is what we would need. Nothing else. It is all pre-calculated. So we just ask for the automation rate to splice in that column, and everything that you see is automatically been filled. So to fill this template app with an event log and a BI data model takes around 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So if this is there, of course, data modeling takes time. But if you have the event log and your BI data model, 1 hour approximately to fill it. Yeah. We also have a wizard.
Okay.
So if you know like techie, you can say, this is my case ID, this is my timestamp, this is my dimension that I want to focus on, and you splice in this template.
Okay.
We have an overall automation rate of 30%, and now kicks back in your what you said before, what happens inside one system and what happens inside of the entire process between the systems.
Right.
Yes, we have a no-touch rate across the systems of just 2.7%.
Okay.
Of start to end, and an overall automation rate of 30%. So every single instance is trying to optimize their single sequence in the process, but not thinking what's happening before and not thinking what happens afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, that's the classic way how things work. Yeah, normally they are not approached holistically. Yeah, and we see exactly the impact of it here. So we would hope for that those numbers would catch up to each other, but at the moment it's not the case. Then we see here right away which activities are the most common or the most manual efforts that we just have.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What is the most manual effort inside of our start to end process? It just tells us.
Wow.
Yeah. In this case, for example, clear invoice, we see 18.4%. So 1/5 of all the manual effort in the entire process from start to end. It's just about the payment. And just an example, what happened with one of our clients there, where we're even talking on a Qlik stage about it, is that normally you have, so to say, clearance limits, yeah, from which point an invoice is paid automatically, from which one there's 2 ICE principles, and from which one there's 4 ICE principles. Yeah. And do you know how someone sets those limits?
No idea. Guess.
Just guessing, like drawing a map. Yeah. That was a valid approach in the past.
Yeah.
Now we have process mining. We can now see where the limit is, and we can see maybe what is with all the invoices the next 5,000 euros above. If we have an acceptance rate of 99%, raise the limit. Yeah. You can also combine it, of course, with the trusted supplier status and whatsoever. But why should someone look at it? They're even not looking at it. They're just clicking it through. But we are way past that. In our time today, we are thinking about AI, and AI is taking over all of our work. But people are just clicking invoices through. That's the real world. Yeah.
Yes.
The real world. ChatGPT is writing my essay to apply to another, I don't know, yeah, but we are still clicking through invoices. Yeah, you see the mismatch. At some point, there is a large mismatch, but this is now making it visual. And on the right side, it's exactly what you said. If the clear invoice event is being automated, it has an impact of 12 days on the average lead time of a process. Yeah. And if it is manual, you have 45 days. Yes. So you see there's a big difference. If this activity is being automated, it has a huge impact of the overall lead time in general.
Yeah. When I look at my revenue cycle management, if I can see this, that being able to see that return on investment and knowing which things should I automate. Right. When we came out with application automation, it was like, yeah, you can automate stuff. Okay, now tell me what I should automate. Well,
exactly. Because the process,
I don't know what it is you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Automation is about processes. Automation is not about KPIs.
Yep.
Now you have the capability to think process oriented. Now you can tackle the business issues that you can lift with automation.
Yeah. The ability, I mean, you guys have this well thought out, right? That the ability to come in and say, hey, not only am I going to tell you where the problems are, we're not pointing the finger at anybody. It's not any of those departments' fault.
No,
This is
no,
what it is. You can help them from a holistic standpoint. Say, you know what, the first thing you should automate with Qlik application automation is the creating the supplier's invoice, right? That's the first thing you should focus on automating. And even if you only solve 75% of the cases, you're showing the time savings. They can instantly see the return on investment. And then suddenly they say, you know what? You just saved us enough money. Now I can train people on more about automations.
exactly.
And I need an app automation wizard at my company, just like I need a Sense developer at my company, just like I need a data architect at my company, because you could change things. And not only is it just about, dollars, it's that redoing that causes you morale. And what you're not measuring is churn, right?
Exactly.
I would love to see, I've done all kinds of AI machine learning models on churn and, are we going to lose customers? Are we going to lose employees? You know what? I'd like to say, hey, what you should be running is MPMX. You find the departments where they're redoing work over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
vital process, and I'm willing to bet that is a driver for churn.
Yeah, and that was, I think, one like I had a sample. Qlik is providing a sample use case about the AutoML functionality.
Yep,
One, I at least one of those use cases is looking into churn. I don't know if
yep,
there's others. And think about this one. You are combining critical dimensions that could lead to churn.
yep,
But maybe the guy called 20 times and just wanted help and no one helped him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
So if you're now thinking about adding the knowledge that you have, yeah, the real knowledge of the touch point, that is basically what Telenet, yeah, those telecommunication providers are doing.
right,
They
yep,
are adding to that what they have done before, now this process-oriented perspective. And
yeah, yeah,
they are not only looking backwards, they are looking at open processes. They are alerting based on what's happening right now. So if someone has called twice or three times, there was no resolution, the ticket gets automatically identified with process mining. Yeah. And the automation in the back end creates a high how you say a high like high risk ticket,
yep,
huh?
yep,
With the front desk operator that is very sophisticated. So with the senior front desk operator that has a
right,
lot of knowledge, yeah. And so right away you tackle the issue. Or what they have done in the first place in the very beginning, one of the first use cases was roaming.
yep,
Yeah. I don't, if you travel around the US, roaming is of course no issue, but it was a large issue traveling around Europe. Yeah, because you cross borders.
yep,
We have open borders here, but we had for a long time not open basically telecommunication. So as soon as
right,
you cross the border, no one told you anything,
yep.
but your mobile was still in the internet, and the charges were really high. Yeah.
We had that issue for a long time as well. Yeah, this is unbelievable. Um, yeah, this is really, really unbelievable. You mentioned that there were 8 extensions. I think we've seen a couple of them. The search obviously looked like an extension.
Yes.
The ability to visualize those lines looks like a type of an extension. I'd love to see a couple of the other extension types so that we got an idea. Okay.
So the question is, now you're seeing here on the right side 10 process variants.
Yep.
Now the question is, to what extent are they matching? And where along the process are they having a change? Because
Okay.
of course, if you only switch one activity, you would create a new variant.
Right.
Yeah, with this one, you're seeing exactly that. You're seeing the first two variants having exactly the same activities
Just in a
in
different
their
order.
body. But the second and the third one is being changed in the order.
Man.
You would never see it in a process visual like that on the right side, but that one on the left side, of course. Yeah, you would see
Man,
it.
this would be so effective in the healthcare, which was my background.
Okay.
They have these clinical
Patient
case
journey.
logs.
Patient journey. Perfect example.
Well, it's not just so much, it's from the quality side of things,
Okay.
right? The doctor could do, the brown step first and then the purple step, or the purple step first and the brown step. And so for quality care, we were trying to measure, okay, those both got to the same endpoint. What had a better outcome? The brown step first or the purple step
Exactly.
first?
Exactly.
Man, if we were able, I wish I'd have had this tool years ago. It was before this stuff was a thing. But man, if I could have used this in a healthcare system to walk through every part of that patient's journey with us, and then be able to track and use, again, back to the alternate state concept, I want to track the outcomes of those two flows. Is there a huge time difference? Is there a huge quality outcome difference?
Absolutely.
Man, this is so that man, that's an awesome one. Show me the next one because you're gonna fire me up again, I'm sure.
So the next one is where you're originating from. Yeah. So basically BPMN. Yeah. So we have here BPMN model integrated, and we can, like I told you in the conformance checking, we can
Yep.
import BPMNs, but we can also export and document our current process. If you
Now
want
the
to see,
BPMN, I'm assuming that's some type of acronym for process mining.
sorry, the BPMN is the notation format of a process picture. If you draw
Okay.
that, it is
Okay,
very
so it's like
likely.
a file format, like a PNG or a bitmap or something.
And the logic, how you which symbols you use,
Okay.
in
Yep.
what way you write or you name it, basically.
So
Yeah,
this is standards, people designing process flow.
exactly.
This is the format they would use from whatever tool they create it with then.
Exactly. So that
Okay.
is the common process standard, no matter which documentation tool it is used on the market. Yeah, so BPMN is an open standard every tool is using. And we have built a connector for Qlik to interpret BPMNs, yeah,
Wow.
and bring it into our logic in order that we can do this conformance check. And we can
Okay.
also then say we derive, I don't know, I
So you're
create
not just showing the picture there. When you brought that in,
it's
you're actually parsing and knowing
yeah,
that
yeah.
each of those blocks and notations, here's what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah. So the right side and the left side is aligning. So I'm
Yep.
creating the top 31 process variants and I'm updating the view and it pops out the BPMN and I
Oh
can now
my gosh.
export it. I can
Oh
now
my
export it
gosh.
to my BPMN notation. Yeah.
That dude.
Because a lot of clients that are coming to us normally come from one or the other way. So they want to tackle and approach processes in a data-oriented manner and have a lot of knowledge about this process documentation stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and they say we have large knowledge in that process documentation. I want to onboard it here, and I want to also to offboard what I have now into my documentation in order to see if my processes improve over time, if they change, if they deviate. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is basically what we are doing here. And
That's insane.
yeah, we have very
Dude,
we,
lights out, man. Lights out.
we have very limited view also a capability of also alterning this
Okay.
process and to add new functionality because what is very important process mining, and that is the one and only downside I would take for process mining, is we can only measure what is there,
Yep.
but there's a lot of processes or like patterns happening that is maybe I'm looking over to your desk, asking you a question.
Yeah.
You're telling me the answer, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm picking up my phone, yeah, and someone is telling me what to do now, yeah. So that everything that is not logged cannot be
Right.
used. So I can
Yeah.
here add a not logged information, yeah, that is happening here, and I can save it then, for
Okay.
example, yeah,
Wow.
and I can export it from there as
So
well,
it's
yeah.
kind of a closed loop for process mining
Yes,
in that you create, here's our standard of work. I can see this is not really what actually happens. I can
yeah,
update what the standard of work is based on seeing the real world.
yeah, yeah,
Lights
and
out. All right, show me something else, man. Dude, just keep going.
And when you have this then now implemented, if you have your process documentation in place and you splice it in, you see the thing we try to have a very similar design language in all the so-called dashboard sheets. Yeah,
Okay,
all the
sure.
things that are telling you questions that are common for process mining are called
Sure.
dashboard sheets. Then we have the blue one, which are called tool sheets. In the tool sheets, more sophisticated analysis can take place and more of an explorative
Okay.
way of thinking. Yeah. So the benchmarking that you said, I want to now compare to see where the automation rate is higher over time. I implemented an automation on June 5th, 2024. Yeah. And
Right.
I want to see how it impacted my process. So explorative. Yeah. That would be the blue one. And we are still here in the conformance check, and we will come to the blue, of course. And I see here now the perfect conformance. So a process variant that aligns to 100% in the as is world and in the
Right.
should be world. Yeah, the
Nice.
overall process performance. Yeah, like overall activities across all edges, as we call them. An edge is
Okay.
basically connecting one activity to another. That's called
Yeah.
edge. Yeah, so it's 61%. And now, again, the same idea with the then with the automation. What is the most common unnecessary step? Unnecessary step is not defined as a process step in the should be world, but is happening, unfortunately, in the as is.
Yep.
So what is most commonly happening? Yeah, record service entry sheet or remove payment block. Of course, a remove payment block is very common, unfortunately. So you can see now, I can filter, of course, for the remove payment block, and I could look, for example, at which supplier this happens most. And I
Wow.
see, oh yeah, this supplier has the most remove payment blocks. Yeah, so let's look into it. I'm responsible for that supplier. Unfortunately, it's a trusted supplier, so they need no payment block in the end. Yeah, so I can now optimize in just one click 4,262 cases where I normally by hand need to bring out the payment block if I update the master data. If I
Okay.
update master data and bring it in as a trusted supplier,
Right.
that's all I need to know. Yeah, everything is there. And then
That's remarkable.
on the other hand, we have the top skipped steps. Yeah, so we had unnecessary steps. So what is happening that should not happen, but what is it that should happen, but is not happening? Yeah, in the first one. Yeah, and for example, that one is like we have updated it just two days ago, and someone has
Now that's okay. Like I want
crushed
to I
it.
want to I want to take a step I want to take a step aside anyway.
Yeah. Okay,
You
then.
mentioned here's the things that are happening for suppliers. Do the event logs, do they or could they keep the usernames so that I would know, hey, who are the users and what percentage of the time is Hugo, my boss, screwing this up, which I know he would. I'd be the 24.8%, I'm sure. That's perfect conformance. He's going to mess them up. Could I see that by the users or the call center operators or the account group staff? Can we look at that? Could we? Not now, but could we go to that level so that we could find out, you know what? Bob and Jane have been with us forever. They know our stuff. We hired Jan, we hired Hugo. We didn't really train them much. We gave them 30 minutes of training, thinking that it was going to be okay. And now we really find out, gosh, we really should have done some more training because it's biting us in the butt.
Yeah, no worries. Let's do it.
Now that's true self-service analytics right there.
That is.
Nice. Now, if we could just really quickly change the worst one and put Hugo Shang in there, because I love to pick on him in my videos. Look at you,
Yeah.
Hugo, those ridiculous timestamps for you redoing all these stuff, all these activities.
Yeah, and one thing about this is this is really there's a top-down approach of process mining and there's a bottom-up approach.
Yep.
Yeah. So the top-down approach would be focusing, like I said in the very beginning, on the huge on the huge effects. Yeah. So you just look at the big picture, you see the deviations on the big picture, and you take them out.
Yep.
Yeah. And this one, what you just mentioned, is the bottom-up approach. Yeah, that you say it on the lowest, most granular level, and that's the power of process mining. You
Yeah.
can at any point go to the most granular level at any point in time. You can
Yep.
go down.
And what I could see here, and I want to wrap up, but I do want to think this through. Because we can bring in any disparate data source, I could turn around and bring in training records, the length of time they've been with the company, the length
Correct.
of time they've been in that group,
Correct.
and so that I could track, hey, a one-to-one case. These users we spent the real process amount of training on, right? We could look at training as a process. These users actually completed all their training, and here's their conformance. These users we shortcutted our training process on. They did not comply to the training, and here's what's happening as a result now down road from that shortcut we took because we really, really wanted to kick off that
That's
stuff for the shortcut, right?
that's a perfect example. That's a very good example. Yeah, just to prove that training is relevant. Yes, and
Yeah,
this,
absolutely. That's and
this
I
is what
and
this is
I
what
asked that
process
because
mining
I've
is.
worked on a number of call center boards and service for several of our Qlik customers,
Yeah,
and it always did, right? It always came down to training, and the way they were getting at it based on they would ask you a question on your survey.
yeah.
You know how much training do you think Dalton received? And you ranked me as like why are you asking the customer or the patient how trained they think the person was on the phone? Like, I could pretend I'm trained. Why don't you measure the real process of the training, right? Because you could bring in that data from that process as well. If you want to stop your screen, I do need to wrap up here, Jan. If you stop sharing just for a second, tell me
Um,
who when you get reached out to by people, who's the first person that like a job title in organizations that are usually the ones reaching out to you?
yeah, normally, and that's also maybe a little bit different to the data analytics world. We get reached out by the process experts. If we are talking about large organizations, normally they have a COE
Mm-hmm.
terms that's optimizing processes and working on processes and want to have a boost. And then, of course, head of departments, head and team leads of departments. So people that really want to have a modern view how to run and optimize their point of influence. Yeah, so they really want to see how everything works, how to get more frictionless. Yeah, and basically then of course CFOs, CIOs in that regards, of course, as well. Yeah.
Nice. How difficult is it when you're talking to them? I'm assuming that they're that black and white technical document. How familiar are they with visualization? When you go to show them this demo, is that eye-opening for them? Like, are you like, I can see this in
Yeah.
a pretty
So
way?
it, of course. So if they have something like a pretty good and established BI landscape, yeah, then of course, whoa, then they are more of like, oh yeah, that brings us exactly the granularity we were missing in the past. But of
Perfect.
course, if they are working still on Excel or some
Yeah,
other more like static data analytics tools, then this is of course uh, like back to into the future. Yeah, so
nice.
coming to that one. Yeah.
Now, how for your clients, because I'm assuming like you're in the Gartner, the top quadrant. You're not just selling the tool to existing Qlik customers to get started.
Right.
About what percent, once you convince them, hey, this is the solution we want to run, how much of the time do they already have Qlik installed, and then you just work with their Qlik team to get the applications and the connections up and running to pull this data?
I would say round about 50%.
Okay,
So
cool.
half this way, half the other way. Um, this sounds much as people think of us as an extension, but you really must think of it as a new way of looking at data.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the extensions I think let you visualize things. eh, But yeah, pulling all that data and thinking of those data sources as being the important part. Usually we look at the sales. Show me how many opportunities we closed, right? That we're looking at Salesforce data. There's a whole bunch of other steps that went on that we're not really looking at, right? That's, well, my business is driven by this. Okay, well, your business is driven by these other 85 steps.
Exactly.
And we're not looking at which of these steps led to success, which of these paths led to success, which of these paths led to failure, which of these paths in a clinical setting led to a good outcome, which of these paths in a different order end up leading to a bad outcome.
And think about it, what you said before. We can now take our absolute top performers,
Yep,
see how they conduct the process. How do the top performers do conduct the process? In opposite, where do they deviate to the medium or low performers? Yeah,
right.
and in
Yeah,
order to do so, we understand, we can educate them, we can bring them, or we try to bring them on the same level.
nice. Well, Jan, I appreciate your time, buddy. I know this kind of thing has run long. I appreciate your giving me so much time. I am blown away by this. Folks, I know that you got to be blown away by this. Remember, feel free to reach out to Jan on LinkedIn. Scroll back to the beginning. You'll get his LinkedIn invite there. Connect with him. Go to MPMX. And as always, I sure hope you have a great day.